You remember the big R&B stories: Motown, Stax, Philly, Marvin and Aretha, the Temptations and the OJs. But there's another side of the story: the records that only pop up in your mind at 2 a.m., the song your older cousin played once on a scratched 45, the slow jam that lived on one dusty cassette, then disappeared when life got busy. This video is for those records, because behind the legends there were bands who gave everything to this music: perfect harmonies, deep grooves, church in their voices, and still slipped through the cracks. Some got a little regional radio love, some brushed the charts and fell right back off, some never even made the album they deserved. But the game was rough. If you didn't have a big push from the label, if your record only caught on in a few cities, if your sound was a little too churchy, too funky, or just dropped at the wrong time, you could be incredible and still end up a footnote. So in this video, we're counting down 10 obscure 60s and 70s R&B bands that deserve a spot in your playlist, your memory, and your heart. Let's get into it. Number 10. We're starting in Memphis with the Mad Lads and their aching slow jam, I Want Someone. This is one of those records where the first few seconds already feel like a memory. That gentle organ, that doo-wop tinged vocal blend. And then that high, innocent lead voice comes in, like somebody singing straight from the front pew of a small church. You can almost smell the wood paneling and Sunday cologne. The vibe here is pure early soul heartbreak. It's not flashy, not overproduced, just a plea for real love over a classic 60s R&B groove. The harmonies lean toward doo-wop, but the emotion is all Southern soul. Tender, vulnerable, and a little raw around the edges. On paper, the Mad Lads had some success. They were a Stax Volt act in the 60s.
That's what I feel.
And tunes like Don't Have to Shop Around and I Want Someone did hit the R&B charts. But they never broke through like some of their label mates. Military drafts, lineup changes, and the constant churn of the music business all worked against them. Fun fact, their name actually came from a local Memphis DJ known as Mad Lad, and from their own wild sense of humor as teenagers. Basically, they were literally the Mad Lads of their neighborhood. Why are they slept on?
That's what I feel.
They came up in the same house as some giants. When you're on the same label as Otis Redding, Sam and Dave, and Booker T and the MGs, it's easy to get overshadowed. But if you know I Want Someone and those early Mad Lads sides, you're not just a casual listener, you're deep in the crates. Real R&B heads never forgot this one. Number 9. We're heading from Texas to Memphis with the Masqueraders and their soulful cut, I Ain't Got to Love Nobody Else. From the first hit of the rhythm section, this record feels like a late-night confession. The lead vocal sounds desperate but strong, like somebody making one last promise before the door closes for good. The background harmonies move around him like a choir of friends backing up his story. The mood is heavy but beautiful. Classic Southern soul with a touch of doo-wop DNA. You get deep bass, pleading falsetto, and those stacked harmonies hitting you right in the chest. It's the kind of song that makes you want to close your eyes and just let it wash over you. The Masqueraders had a long, strange journey. They started out in Texas in the late 50s, moved to Detroit chasing the Motown dream, and eventually set up in Memphis, recording for various labels. Later on, they even worked with Isaac Hayes, who produced their mid-70s album Everybody Wanna Live On, a record soul collectors rave about today. Fun fact, the group originally got their name because they would masquerade as other groups to get gigs. They were that hungry to sing. So why are they still under the radar? They never had a huge crossover hit, and they were always just a step to the side of whatever sound was dominating the charts at the time. But But if I Ain't Got to Love Nobody Else is already in your slow jam rotation, your soul credentials are serious. If you know this track, you've got grown folks' taste. Number 8. It's time to talk Philly soul with the Futures and their driving tune, Ain't No Time for Nothing. The first thing that hits you here is the urgency. The groove is tight, the drums are crisp, and the strings feel like they're pushing the song forward. Then the vocals drop in, rich, harmonized, and full of that classic Philadelphia polish, but they're not just smooth, they're intense. The mood is somewhere between social statement and dance floor burner. It's got that life is hard, but we're still moving energy. The bass line keeps your head nodding while the vocals feel like they're trying to lift you above the mess for 3.5 minutes. The Futures formed in late 60s Philadelphia and worked in the middle of that legendary Philly soul ecosystem, right alongside other groups chasing the same dream. Critics and collectors call them one of Philly's finest harmony groups that never quite caught the big break. They released strong sides in the 70s, but chart luck and timing weren't always on their side. Fun fact, fans today talk about the Futures as a cult harmony group. Their records might not have been huge at the time, but they're prized in modern soul DJ sets and collector circles.
Someday you might know the reason why you love.
Why are they slept on? In the 70s, Philly was flooded with incredible acts. When you're standing next to the OJs, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, and all those giant productions, some brilliant records just get lost in the crowd. Ain't No Time for Nothing is one of those cuts that proves how deep the bench really was. If this one already lives in your playlist, you're digging past the surface.
Come over you. Oh, baby.
Number 7. We're going to Chicago for one of the most emotional breakup songs of the 70s, The Independents, Leaving Me. From the very first bars, this track feels like a movie. The arrangement is dramatic but never cheesy. Strings swelling, rhythm section locked in, and then that lead voice steps forward sounding like a man on the edge.
I wanna know, baby, there's somebody say.
The background vocals respond to him like a Greek chorus, echoing his pain. The vibe is straight Quiet Storm before Quiet Storm, a slow jam that's more than just bedroom music. It's heartbreak, regret, and vulnerability poured into tape.
Pretty little child, I hope one thing can't be true, and that is.
You can hear every ounce of emotion in the lead's phrasing, every harmony carefully placed to squeeze your chest just a little tighter. The Independents formed in Chicago in the early 70s. Their lineup included Chuck Jackson and Maurice Jackson, no relation, plus Helen Curry and Eric Thomas.
There's somebody say, leaving me.
They recorded for Wand Records and put together a run of R&B hits. Leaving Me reached the top 10 on the R&B chart and even cracked the Pop Top 40, selling enough copies to earn a gold record. Fun fact, after the Independents broke up, Chuck Jackson and Marvin Gaye went on to produce and write for Natalie Cole, shaping many of her early hits.
Lately I felt that you.
So even if you don't know the group, you've probably felt their fingerprints on R&B history. Why is Leaving Me still slept on? Because the song is known to some, but the band's name doesn't get mentioned in the same breath as the big 70s vocal groups.
That is.
They had a short run, and the business moved on quickly. But ask any soul DJ about this record and watch their eyes light up. If this track still makes you stop whatever you're doing and just listen, your R&B heart is in the right place. Number 6. Over to Oakland, California with the Natural 4 and their mellow classic, Can This Be Real? This is one of those songs where the intro alone feels like falling in love in slow motion. The groove is gentle but steady, the chords are warm, and the lead vocal sounds like pure disbelief. In a good way. It's that I can't believe this is happening to me kind of love song. The vibe is sweet soul with a touch of West Coast breeze. You've got silky harmonies, a relaxed rhythm section, and just enough funk under the surface to keep it from floating away. It feels like riding through the city at night with the windows slightly down, replaying the best moment of your week in your head.
Trying hard to find satisfaction.
The Natural Four started in the late 60s, working with a local manager who owned a record shop and eventually signed to Curtom Records, the label founded by Curtis Mayfield. Under the production of Leroy Hudson, they cut a string of strong 70s sides.
Living just ain't no fun. That's when I first realized.
Can This Be Real became their breakthrough, hitting the R&B top 10 and making the pop top 40. Yet the group itself still sits quietly in the background of most R&B conversations.
That it's love.
Fun fact, their early local single, I Thought You Were Mine, sold tens of thousands of copies just off Bay Area Radio Love before they ever landed on a bigger label. Why are they overlooked? They never became stars in the image-driven way, even though the music was there.
But I can't be no fool. There's just one thing I can't.
As trends shifted and the industry changed, their albums quietly went out of print, only to be rediscovered decades later by crate diggers and reissue labels. If Can This Be Real still gives you chills on that first chorus, you're tuned into the soul and soul music. Number 5. Let's stay in the early 70s and slide over to Baltimore with the Whatnots and the ultra-tender I'll Erase Away Your Pain. The emotional trigger on this one is instant. The song opens like a promise. The lead vocal doesn't just sing to you, it reassures you, like someone sitting on the edge of your bed at 3 a.m. telling you they're not going anywhere. The vibe is deep, slow, and devotional. Soft rhythm section, gentle strings, and harmonies that wrap around the lead like a warm blanket. There's a gospel undercurrent in the way the voices answer each other, turning a love song into something that feels like a vow. The Whatnots formed in 1969 and worked with producer George Kerr, releasing music on labels like A&I and Stang. They cut socially conscious tracks like Message from a Black Man and tender love songs like I'll Erase Away Your Pain. Scoring several R&B hits in the early 70s, even if they weren't household names nationwide. Fun fact, over the years their music has been heavily sampled and rediscovered in hip-hop and modern soul circles, giving the Whatnots a second life far beyond their original chart years. Why is this track slept on? Because when people think of 70s slow jams, they jump straight to the usual suspects. The Whatnots lived in that middle lane, respected, played on certain stations, but not pushed as a flagship act. Today, if you drop this cut at the right moment, you find out quickly who in the room is really listening. If you know every ad-lib on this song, your R&B card is platinum level. Number 4. We're staying in Baltimore but switching to sweet soul with the Softunes and their floating ballad, My Dream. The first thing that hits you here is the falsetto, high, pure, and emotional enough to make the hair stand up on your arms. It's that kind of voice you don't forget once you've heard it. The harmonies behind him are silky, tight, and gentle, like they're afraid to disturb the moment. The mood is pure, slow dance magic. This is bedroom speaker music, basement party music, we're the last couple still on the floor music. The arrangement is lush but not crowded. Soft strings, patient drums, and space for those voices to soar. The Softones recorded for Avco H&L Records in the 70s, working with producers Hugo and Luigi and arranger Van McCoy, the same team behind some stylistics classics. Their catalog includes songs like My Dream, Can't Help Falling in Love, and I'm Gonna Prove It, all showcasing that sweet soul blend of falsetto, harmony, and orchestration.
Your sunshine, oh,
Fun fact, while they never reached the mainstream fame of the Stylistics, the Softones built pockets of die-hard fans in the eastern US, Europe, and Japan, and today their records are highly prized in sweet soul collector circles. Why are they overlooked? Because when people think falsetto in the 70s, they tend to stop at a handful of big groups. The Softones got caught between trends and bigger marketing machines, even though their artistry could stand toe-to-toe with the best of them. If My Dream ever made you just sit still in the dark and listen, you already know their greatness.
Number 3. We're crossing over to St. Louis with the Montclairs and their heartbreaking masterpiece, Dreaming's Out of Season. This is one of those records that sounds like it was written at 4 in the morning, when you're too tired to pretend you're okay. The lead vocal from a young Phil Perry is almost unreal. Soft and floating 1 second, then ripping your heart open the next. The vibe is orchestral soul heartbreak. The strings are lush, the rhythm section is understated, and the harmonies are as tight as any big-name vocal group from the era. It's slow, dramatic, and deeply emotional without ever tipping into melodrama. The Montclairs dropped their only full album, Dreaming Out of Season, on Paula Records in the early 70s. Critics and collectors describe it as harmony soul heaven, full of heartache ballads like Prelude to a Heartbreak and Make Up for Lost Time. None of their singles ever broke big on the charts, but their work earned serious respect among soul fans, even winning them Soul Group of the Year in a UK soul magazine in the mid-70s. Fun fact, decades later, Phil Perry recut Dreaming's Out of Season on his solo material, proof of how much this song meant to him personally and how strong the original writing was. Why is it slept on? Because the album was rare for years and the group didn't have the machine behind them. Their records floated around in collector's boxes and specialty shops while mainstream listeners never even knew they existed. Today, Dreaming's Out of Season is a cult classic. If you know this track by heart, you're not just a fan, you're a soul archivist.
So many things to do, never no time to burn.
Number 2, we're turning up the tempo with Black Heat and their funk soul stormer, No Time to Burn. From the jump, this record is all attitude. Horn stabs, tight drums, percussive drive. This is the moment in the set when people put their drinks down and head for the floor. Then the vocals come in, riding that groove with a sense of urgency and grit. The vibe is hard funk fused with R&B soulfulness. You've got thick bass, hot percussion, and horns that feel like they're answering every line of the lead vocal. It's political, it's party, it's everyday struggle, all happening at once. Black Heat were a 70s funk band formed by King Raymond Green and signed to Atlantic Records. They released 3 albums between 1972 and 1975, with No Time to Burn becoming their one R&B chart hit, cracking the top 50.
We'll see if they can put their hands together and move along with us. Yeah.
Produced by Joel Dorn and featuring guest players like David Fathead Newman, their records blended jazz chops with street-level funk and soul. Fun fact, years later, hip-hop producers and DJs dug into Black Heat's catalog for samples and breaks,
So many things to do, never no time to burn.
helping to quietly spread their name even though they never hit superstar status in their own time. Why are they overlooked? Because when people make 70s funk playlists, the same handful of bands dominate the covers. Black Heat were on a major label, but they were a little too raw, a little too ahead of the curve, and they didn't get that long multi-album promotional push. If No Time to Burn already lives in your crate, you're reading the fine print of funk and R&B history.
Quick break. If you love music stories like this, check out our sponsor, The Lore Store on Amazon. It's like a special music collection with books, vinyl, gear, and culture picks for rock, pop, hip-hop, R&B, Afro music, and reggae. What I like is that it's not random stuff. Everything is picked on purpose, and there are some real hidden gems in there. And just so you know, when a good item sells out, it may not come back. The link is in the description, and if you shop through it, you're also supporting this channel.
You're my soul, worth your weight in gold.
And at number 1, we're closing with a group that hardcore soul fans speak about with a special kind of respect. The Modulations and their shimmering track, Worth Your Weight in Gold. The emotional trigger here, that rich mid-tempo groove and those harmonies.
To the young, I'll tell it to the old.
The lead vocal sounds confident but grateful, like someone who finally realized what they almost lost. The background vocals respond with these gorgeous, layered lines that feel like sunlight breaking through clouds. The mood is Philly-flavored, big heart soul with a touch of sophistication.
When I want you.
You get a strong rhythm section, strings that lift the chorus, and horn accents that keep everything moving. It's not a slow jam exactly, but it glows. Perfect for that golden hour of the evening when you're driving home and everything outside the window looks a little softer. The Modulations came out of Durham, North Carolina, eventually signing with Buddha Records and releasing the cult classic album It's Rough Out Here in the mid-70s. Soulheads talk about this record like a secret handshake. Killer songs, heavyweight Philly musicians in the studio, and harmonies so strong they sound effortless. Worth Your Weight in Gold and other tracks from the album became favorites among DJs and collectors, even if they never stormed the mainstream charts. Fun fact, some sources even point out that the Modulations were among the first groups to release a 12-inch single commercially.
Your love is so valuable to me.
Underlining how they were right there at the cutting edge of how soul and dance music were evolving in the 70s. Why are they slept on? Because they lived in that strange space between regional group and global act. They had the talent.
I'll tell it to the young.
The songs and the band behind them, but the marketplace was crowded and their moment passed fast. Today, It's Rough Out Here is exactly the kind of album that tells you if someone just likes soul or studies it. If the Modulations are already one of your favorite groups, you're absolutely part of the deep cut R&B family.
Worth your weight in gold.
Which of these obscure 60s and 70s R&B bands took you back the most? And which deep cut group did we miss that you think deserves their own spotlight in the next episode? Drop your memories, your favorite songs, and your own deep cut recommendations in the comments. If you felt something during this countdown, if even one track sent you running to build a new playlist, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next R&B deep dive.